Bonjour à toutes et à tous et merci de nous regarder en direct sur Europe by Satellite et nous joindre en direct dans la salle de presse virtuelle de la Commission européenne. Nous sommes le jeudi 27 août. Je commence par attirer votre attention sur la déclaration de presse que la présidente von der Leyen vient de faire au sujet de la démission du commissaire Phil Hogan. Cette déclaration remercie notamment Phil Hogan pour son travail pour la Commission européenne et explique le processus qui est maintenant en cours pour sélectionner un nouveau commissaire des nationalités irlandaises. Je vous invite à regarder cette déclaration de presse sur EBS ou de la lire dans les coins de presse si jamais vous ne l'avez pas vue encore. Et maintenant, j'appelle Tim pour vous faire une déclaration sur la signature d'un contrat avec une compagnie qui fabriquera des vaccins sur le coronavirus.
Merci Dana, bonjour. So today, the European Commission has signed its first contract with a pharmaceutical company for the future provision of vaccines against COVID-19. Through this contract with AstraZeneca, member states will be able to purchase 300 million doses of the vaccine, with an option for a further 100 million doses. They will be distributed on a population-based pro rata basis. AstraZeneca's vaccine candidate is already in large-scale phase 2 and 3 clinical trials after promising results in phase 1 and 2 concerning safety and immunogenicity. Today's contract is based on the advance purchase agreement approved on the 14th of August and will be financed with the emergency support instrument. The Commission negotiated this agreement on behalf of all the EU member states, building on the groundwork laid with AstraZeneca by France, Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands. The Commission continues discussions for similar agreements with other vaccine manufacturers and has concluded successful exploratory talks with Sanofi GSK on 31st of July, with Johnson & Johnson on the 13th of August, with CureVac on the 18th of August, and with Moderna on the 24th of August. A press release is available online with more details about this contract. And for those of you who like to illustrate your stories with photos of our commissioners, you will shortly find online a selection of photos of Commissioner Kyriakides, who put pen to paper on this contract this morning on behalf of the European Commission. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Tim, pour cette annonce. Pour finir, je tiens à vous rappeler que notre porte-parole qui s'occupe des affaires étrangères, Nabila, est à Berlin pour les Gymnich avec les hauts représentants Borrell et avec le commissaire Oliver Vahely qui participe également aux Gymnich pour représenter la Commission. Elle n'est donc pas en mesure de participer à notre rendez-vous de midi et de prendre vos questions. Je vous invite donc de poser vos questions sans hésitation à notre équipe Affaires étrangères qui est, comme toujours, à votre disposition pour répondre à toutes questions que vous avez à ces sujets. Et avec cela, nous sommes prêts pour vos questions. Please raise your hand if you wish to ask a question. And I already see that Adam's hand is raised. So Adam, please go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you very much indeed. It's about Phil Hogan. I wonder if you could clarify, did Mr. Hogan resign or was he asked to go? If he did resign, was he going to be fired anyway? And does this set a precedent that any commissioner who breaches national guidelines on coronavirus will also be expected to stand down? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Adam. I will start by inviting you to look at the statement issued by Phil Hogan last night, which explains very clearly and very eloquently, if I may say so, the reasons which led him to tender his resignation to the President of the European Commission. So this sentence says it all. It is Phil Hogan who resigned from his position as a trade commissioner, and the reasons that led him to doing so are very clearly explained into that statement, and I'm not going to either repeat or to reinterpret them because I think they're very clearly stated, very detailed. The statement is transparently put in the public domain. So therefore, I'm not going to comment about the individual circumstances which have led the Commissioner to make that decision. With regards to other commissioners, what I can tell you, and for that I refer you to the statement that the President issued just half an hour or an hour ago, to which I referred to at the beginning. The President, I quote, "In the current circumstances, as Europe fights to reduce the spread of the coronavirus and Europeans make sacrifices and accept painful restrictions, I expect members of the College to be particularly vigilant about compliance with applicable national or regional rules or recommendations at all times." So this is the President's statement with regards to respect of rules and regulations or recommendations on coronavirus which are applicable at national level. And of course, members of the College are informed about this. Any additional questions on this matter, as we have the habit of grouping the questions? I see that Sam has his hand raised. So Sam, hi, go ahead. Sam, we cannot hear you. I understand that you need to press the speak button and to unmute yourself. Apparently, it is the source of your microphone, which is the issue. We still have no sound from you.
Hello, is that working now?
Yes, now it's working.
Okay, I'm very sorry. Yep, I figured out what I was doing wrong. There's clearly a perception that national political pressure influenced Commission personnel policy in this Phil Hogan matter, given the pressure that was coming from Ireland, which has led to the President accepting his resignation. I mean, given the importance of the Commission demonstrating its independence from national politics, what's your response to this concern?
Thank you very much for the question, Sam. So let me start by stating clearly that commissioners are independent from the national government of the country of whose nationality they have. And of course, it is the right of national governments to propose candidates for the post as commissioners. And after that, members of the College exercise their duties in full independence and collegiality, and actually independence as well as general competence of commissioners and their European commitments is a criterion for the candidates that need to be presented to the President for filling any post as commissioners. In terms of pressure, as I said, Commissioner Hogan himself took the step to tender his resignation for the reasons that he explained in his resignation letter, and the President took note and respects his decision to resign from the College. I wonder if there are additional questions about this subject. And I see that Lily's hand is raised, so I assume it's a question about this. Lily, go ahead. Hello, Lily. Are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here. I have a question a bit about what comes next. So the President said in her statement that she expects Ireland to put forward two candidates, a male candidate and a female candidate. But last time around, if I remember correctly, Dublin was one of the capitals that chose not to put forward a female candidate. So I was wondering if this time around, the President will be more insistent on this request. And the second thing is if you could perhaps give us more detail about the timeline. When can we expect to know if there will be a reshuffle of portfolios, and when can we expect to have the names put forward? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Lily. Indeed, the objective of achieving gender balance in the College of Commissioners is very important for the President. And this is something which guided her from the beginning when she first put together her team of commissioners. And this continues to guide her. Therefore, as you said in her statement, she indicated that she will invite the Irish government to submit two names, that of a woman and that of a man. And she is going to convey that message in person to the Irish authorities. As we speak right now, she is in touch with the Irish Taoiseach to convey him the message that it is important to start the process and to propose those names that I've referred to. In terms of timelines, the ball is now in the court of the Irish authorities. It is important for the President that she completes her team and that she has a strong commission in place ready for action rapidly. This is why it will be important that the Irish authorities come forward with the names as quickly as possible. I wonder if there are additional questions about this matter before opening the floor to something else. So please keep your hand raised only if you have questions about this specific issue. So I understand that Quentin has a question about this. Quentin, go ahead.
Hello, Dana. Sorry for technical issues. I was just wondering, like, is the Commission asking now, like, all commissioners to send, like, similar memo as Mr. Hogan did to check, like, if they were complying with the national health restriction when they were on the break as well? Or are you thinking, like, right now, like, you don't want to track what commissioners did during this summer?
Commissioners are bound by the rules which apply to citizens with regards to coronavirus restrictions, be those in the form of legislation or public health guidelines. It is important for the President that they are particularly vigilant in these current circumstances where Europeans go through hardship in order to be able to meet those conditions. So she, as I said, reminded them this morning that she expects them to be particularly vigilant with regards to the respect of the conditions set in place at the local level. And we will make sure that they have all the information that is necessary, that upon their return from Brussels, they will be able to respect those guidelines very seriously and in detail. Commissioner Hogan published documents in relation to his situation in Ireland because of the fact that certain information emerged in relation to an event where several politicians participated, but there is no reason at this stage and in no circumstance to ask commissioners about where they have spent their holidays. Thank you. Are there any additional questions on this matter at this stage? I see that David has his hand raised.
Oui, merci et bonjour Dana. Deux questions, si je peux, sur ce sujet. La première, je reviens sur la question de Sam sur l'indépendance de la Commission et des commissaires. Le gouvernement irlandais et les trois leaders de la majorité du gouvernement irlandais, il y a 2 jours, le soir, ils ont publié une déclaration de fait, en demandant le départ de M. Hogan, même si ce n'était pas si explicite dans le texte. La présidente n'a jamais utilisé un seul mot pour défendre son commissaire des pressions politiques qui sont venues de Dublin. Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas un risque que demain cela se reproduise avec des gouvernements d'autres États membres qui ne sont pas satisfaits de le commissaire de leur nationalité? Première question. Deuxième question, c'est à propos de la capacité du vice-président Dombrovskis de gérer le portefeuille du commerce, qui est un portefeuille stratégique. Au mois de juillet, vous avez lancé la consultation publique sur la réforme des règles commerciales. Il y a le Brexit, il y a les conflits commerciaux ou les accords avec les États-Unis. Le vice-président Dombrovskis doit s'occuper aussi de l'union bancaire, de Next Generation EU, etc. Donc je me demande si c'est possible pour lui de gérer ce dossier pendant les semaines ou mois qui sont nécessaires pour avoir un nouveau commissaire au commerce, n'importe la nationalité. Merci.
Merci pour tes questions, David, qui sont effectivement très importantes pour le débat que nous avons ici. D'abord, la question de l'indépendance. Comme j'ai dit, il est très clair que les commissaires sont indépendants par rapport à leur gouvernement dans l'exercice de leurs fonctions et que le rôle d'un gouvernement national, en fait, est celui tout simplement de proposer des candidats pour le poste des commissaires de la nationalité du pays respectif. Et ensuite, une fois qu'ils sont membres du collège des commissaires et qu'ils sont passés par la procédure des désignations, ils sont membres du collège, indépendants de leurs gouvernements nationaux et soumis au principe des collégialités et des responsabilités collectives. En ce qui concerne des déclarations que tu as vues, comme nous, dans les domaines publics, par des autorités irlandaises ou par des ministres irlandais, nous avons bien sûr pris connaissance de ces déclarations et ces déclarations faisaient référence au respect ou pas par Phil Hogan des réglementations en place au niveau national en Irlande, comme il se référait d'ailleurs au respect de ces règlements par d'autres personnes publiques en Irlande en relation avec les événements qui ont été dévoilés en relation avec ce qui s'est passé lors des dernières semaines. Donc, c'était les autorités irlandaises qui ont publié leurs opinions sur le respect ou non des règles au niveau national ou des recommandations au niveau national ou local en Irlande. En ce qui concerne la deuxième question importante aussi du portefeuille et de la responsabilité pour les affaires des commerces entre-temps ad interim, permets-moi de te dire que, comme tu l'as appris par la présidente, il y a un membre du collège qui est très expérimenté, les vice-présidents exécutifs Dombrovskis, qui prendra charge jusqu'à la nomination d'un commissaire en charge de ces portefeuilles. Effectivement, c'est un portefeuille très important. Il y a devant nous un agenda que ce soit lié aux affaires, aux négociations commerciales ou au Brexit, comme tu as mentionné, qui est un agenda riche. Avec l'expérience du vice-président exécutif Dombrovskis, il n'y a pas de doute que les affaires seront bien suivies dans la prochaine étape. Et ensuite, évidemment, la présidente réserve sa décision pour décider sur l'allocation finale des portefeuilles à son collège du commissaire, quand tous les éléments seront sur la table, et une fois qu'il y a des candidats irlandais qui ont été proposés. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions à ce sujet avant d'ouvrir le débat à d'autres choses? I see that Sam has another question. Sam, go ahead.
Hi there, thanks again. Just on this question of portfolios, has the president yet made any decisions as to whether this presents an opportunity to reshuffle portfolios in the college? And in terms of her communications with Dublin, is she today making any indication as to whether she's encouraging Dublin to come forward with candidates who will be suitable for the trade portfolio, or is that not something she's conveying to Dublin either way? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Sam. On the allocation of portfolios, as I said, the President will make her decision on the allocation of portfolios in the college after she has all the facts on the table, and she is ready to see what would be the composition of the college that and the level of responsibilities that she wishes to allocate to its members. And that will depend, of course, also on what names are available. She reserves this decision for a later stage when she has all the elements on the table. I cannot anticipate right now what the discussion with the Taoiseach will be about. As I said, the call was scheduled to take place at roughly the time that we speak here. And the President wished to convey him the message that it is now up to the Irish authorities to propose names for commissioners of Irish nationality, and that, as she has done in the past, when she has formed her college last summer, she wishes to have the names of a woman and a man proposed. But there is nothing more that I can tell you before that conversation has taken place. Additional questions on this matter? I understand that Raf has a question. Please, Raf, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. I was just looking at the timeline and I was wondering, September 16 is the State of the Union. It's the start of a whole new year. And I was wondering to what extent the President hopes to avoid that this issue will still be on the table at that stage, and whether it will, in fact, dilute the message that she will be bringing then. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Raf. This is a situation that nobody wished for, but it has happened. As you know, Phil Hogan, and as the President said, was a respected and a valuable and a successful member of the College of Commissioners. You have yourself followed his activities here, both in the current portfolio and in the previous one. But this is a situation which has happened before. This is a situation which happens quite frequently at national level, where there are resignations or changes of members of cabinet. It is a situation which has happened at a European level as well. Members of the college resign for various reasons, which can be of a personal nature, or they can be because the members pursue a different activity. This is the situation now, and the President is committed on focusing on the next steps, on making sure that she can complete her College of Commissioners rapidly and that she has a strong team that is ready for action, because, as you rightly say, there is a lot ahead. You mentioned the State of the Union speech on the 16th of September. This is an important political moment in the life of the European Union and in the life of the EU institutions. But beyond that, there is a crisis that we need to manage. There is the coronavirus pandemic, and the Commission and the President wishes to be able to act rapidly, decisively, and to bring added value and help manage this unprecedented crisis which affects the Europeans. Are there any additional questions at this stage on this question? Yes, I understand that Tommaso has a question. Tommaso, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the floor. The question might be redundant, but it's just to know if the President von der Leyen is going to address the issue of the replacement of Commissioner Hogan in her State of the Union address to the Parliament, because European MEPs are willing to be informed about this delicate political passage. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Tommaso. I would definitely not mix up the two things. The process for finding a new commissioner of Irish nationality has already started. As I said, and it's just now that the President is probably still considering or discussing the matter with the Irish Taoiseach. The process will follow its institutional track, and the President hopes that the matters will be advanced very quickly, including in relation to the European Parliament, which, as you know, has a role, a very important one, in hearing and in voting in office members of the college. The State of the Union is, as you will know from your experience, a big political moment where the President expresses her vision about the State of the Union at this stage, what we've achieved, and very importantly, what lays ahead. So it wouldn't be proper for me at this stage to try to anticipate what the State of the Union will be and what messages will be sent by the President. I understand that there is a question from Naomi. Naomi, go ahead.
Hi, Dana. Thanks for taking my question. So on Friday, you said that as a sign of how seriously Commissioner Hogan took the coronavirus regulations, he observed self-isolation on his arrival to Ireland from Brussels for 14 days. Subsequently, by his own admission, it came out that this wasn't in fact the case, and he cut short his isolation to play golf. And also, eyewitnesses' accounts put him not in isolation from the very day that he arrived in Ireland. Is it the case that it's not just the fact of the breach of the coronavirus regulations, but also the flaws in his account to the Commission and to his boss that made his position untenable? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Naomi. Regarding the reasons why Phil Hogan decided to resign from his post as Trade Commissioner, I will simply have to refer you back to the statement that he put forward, that he put out last night, which is very detailed, which is very candid in recognizing the several facets of the matter which led him to take this decision. And I will not enter into the details or try to interpret or reinterpret or express differently, use different words for what he himself put out very clearly in the public domain around this matter, which led him to resign. I now understand that Yanis has interest in asking us a question about the same matter. So if it's about the same issue, Yanis, go ahead.
It's not, no, I can wait.
Okay, then if you allow me, I will simply verify with colleagues if there are additional questions about this matter before enlarging the floor to other questions. So please only keep your hand raised if you wish to ask a question about this. I understand that Athanasios has a question about this. So go ahead, Athanasios.
This. It is not about this, it's about the AstraZeneca deal. I'll wait.
A moment. I understand that Andres has a question about this because his hand is still raised. Andres. Andres, are you there? Are you connected? Can you hear us?
Yes.
So.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I would like to ask you, are you planning any press conference with President von der Leyen to answer questions about this matter? Because, well, it's quite common in the member states that when Prime Minister faces a crisis in his government or her government to face a press conference. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Yanis. There have been statements put out in the public domain through various channels first by Commissioner Hogan and then by the President in relation to how she sees the way forward. At this stage, I have no other ways of communication or any other press events to announce you. But we will inform you in due time what would be the communication sequence in the following weeks. Thank you. I wonder if there are any other questions about this, or if we now enlarge the floor to other questions. I don't see any other hands raised, except for that of Yanis, whom we already tried to give the floor before. So, Yanis, go ahead.
Hi, thanks very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and see you.
Excellent, excellent. I wanted to ask about the comments that were caught in an open microphone yesterday by HRVP Borrell at the press conference in the meeting of the Ministers of Defense which have ruffled a few feathers in Athens. I am asking the Foreign Affairs team directly as well, but I want to ask if the President feels it's appropriate for Mr. Borrell to, in a sense, explain or justify Turkish anger about the Greek-Egyptian deal by saying they're very upset and they think the Greeks are unreliable, and whether she thinks that in the current tension, both sides, i.e. Greece and Turkey, are equally to blame. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, Yanis. This question would best be addressed to our spokesperson, Nabila, who is accompanying Mr. Borrell in Berlin. They're there right now. And if it is about statements which were issued under circumstances which would seem informal from your description, it is obviously best for the HRVP Borrell to clarify the context and the sayings himself. There is nothing official on which we can comment at this stage in relation to alleged sayings by HRVP. I now understand that, yes, Athanasio is next in line, so I will invite him to ask his question.
Thanks very much. And it's on the deal with AstraZeneca. I read on your announcement that the liability still remains within the companies. I presume that the same applies for the specific company. So at this stage, I would like to ask, did AstraZeneca call for a liability waiver at any stage of this negotiation? And in the context of the agreement reached, how do you explain this other phrase that member states may provide some compensation to the manufacturer for liabilities incurred under certain conditions? What are those conditions? Thanks.
Thank you, Athanasios. Tim has promptly joined me on the podium to provide an answer.
Yeah, thanks, Athanasios, for the question. I mean, I can't get into specific details about what individual companies have asked for or not asked for, and what's the details of the individual conversations. I mean, what I can tell you generally on the liability question is, of course, we're leaving no stone unturned to support the production of a safe and effective vaccine for all. Our intense negotiations are carried out with and on behalf of the member states. They're progressing well, as evidenced by this signature today. We're in the middle of an ongoing pandemic. These are extraordinary circumstances, and we need to act as quickly as possible to put an end to this unprecedented health crisis and to protect citizens. This does not mean that we will compromise on the safety of a future vaccine. Let me make that very clear. We will not be changing existing rules on liability. Any vaccine which is put on the market will have to meet the necessary safety requirements, which includes approval by the Commission following a recommendation for the European Medicines Agency as part of the market authorization procedure. Citizens' rights will remain fully protected. A separate question, the one that you raise, is whether authorities might indemnify the manufacturer if there is eventually found to be any liability for damages. Of course, in the race against time, vaccine manufacturers have to produce a vaccine a lot quicker than they would do under normal circumstances. It could be 12, 18 months compared to a decade or more in normal circumstances. So in order to compensate for such risks, the advance purchase agreements do provide for member states to indemnify the manufacturer for certain liabilities incurred. So as I said, it means that the EU and the member states are taking all the necessary measures to protect our citizens. A stricter safety assessment is carried out before any vaccine is approved. Citizens' rights continue to be as strong as today, but member states are ready to financially cover certain of the company's risks to ensure that these vaccines can be available for EU citizens.
Thank you, Tim.
Good.
I wonder if there are additional questions on vaccines as we have opened the floor to this exchange. I see that Ekrem's hand is raised, so I wonder if Ekrem wishes to ask a question about vaccine. Otherwise, please unraise your hand. No, your hand is still raised, so I safely assume that you want to engage with him about vaccines. So go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
having some interruptions here with my computer. Yes, it's about vaccine, as you can imagine. I would like to know whether the Commission has had any contacts with the Western Balkan 6 countries about the issue, or eventually the authorities of the region are pushed to do as they can and eventually procure the vaccine not in coordination with the Commission.
Thanks, Ekrem. I don't have specific information about ongoing contacts with any of those countries. What I can tell you is that the contract we've signed will allow the purchase of the vaccine for all member states of the EU, as well as donation to lower and middle income countries or redirection to other European countries. But as I say, I don't have details to hand of any specific conversations with the 6 countries that you mentioned, but I will look into that and come back to you if there's anything more.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for the answer, because it was the exact quote that you used that I was trying to find out more about it. Thanks anyway.
I will now invite you to ask additional questions to Tim on the issue of vaccines, if you have any, or on other issues that Tim covers. This week there are several, there are many. I don't see any question for Tim, so thank you very much, Tim. And I will now wish to enlarge the floor to other questions, and I see that Lily is interested in asking a question. Lily, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My question is about Brexit. It has been pretty widely reported over the past day that EU diplomats have taken Brexit off of the agenda of an upcoming meeting due to a perceived lack of progress. I was wondering whether, from a Commission perspective, you also see a lack of progress in the negotiations. Thank you.
Thank you for this question, Lily. It would be today a question that Ariana will answer, and she is there, connected.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, see you. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Dana. So, Lily, we do not comment on comments. What I can say is that the EU is engaging constructively and in good faith in the negotiations. We are working with the UK to overcome the significant divergences that remain between us. I would also refer you to the press conference by Michel Barnier of last Friday, the 21st of August, following the latest round of negotiations. His statement is available online and gives an update on our most recent position. I can also tell you that there will be contacts between negotiators in the next days. There are contacts, and the next round will be as scheduled on the 7th of September.
Thank you very much, Ariana. Are there any additional questions for Ariana on Brexit at this stage? No, I don't see any such questions. So let's then enlarge the floor. Are there questions for Ariana on any other matters that she covers, because she is now connected? That doesn't seem to be the case either, but I see an interest from Patrizia to ask us a question. So, Patrizia, go ahead.
Thank you, Dana. I'm sorry to ask you the same question for the second time, but yesterday I didn't get any reaction from the Commission on the issue of Jacob Blake. So I would like to have this reaction today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrizia. And Christian has joined me to provide that reaction to you.
Yes, hi Patricia, and apologies for not coming back to you earlier, but I can tell you something now. We were saddened to hear about this case. We understand there is an ongoing investigation by US authorities, and we trust it will be rapidly taken forward. As we have said before, all societies must remain vigilant against excess use of force and ensure that any such incidents are addressed swiftly, effectively, and in full respect for the rule of law and human rights. We support the right to peaceful protest and we condemn violence and racism of any kind.
Thank you very much, Christian. I will now invite you to ask any other questions to Christian on this topic first, if you have. This doesn't seem to be the case, or to Christian about other matters that he covers. I do not see any hand raised, so thank you, Christian. And I will now invite you to ask any other questions that you may have for us today. I see that Tommaso wishes to ask a question. Go ahead, Tommaso.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for the floor again. It's just a curiosity. As you mentioned the State of the Union speech, I was wondering if you can tell us if President von der Leyen is going to move to Strasbourg to pronounce it, or is she preparing to deliver it in Brussels? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Tommaso. President von der Leyen will be ready to deliver the speech where the Parliament, which is the institution that will be deciding on the setting for the plenary session of that week, will decide that she would need to be present. So it is in the hands of the Parliament to make decisions about the locations for plenary sessions. So I will invite you to address this question to the Parliament, and from our side, we will be ready to be where the Parliament indicates to us that we need to be for this important political moment in the political life of the Union. Are there any other questions for us today? Yes, I see that Ekrem has another question. Ekrem, go ahead. Ekrem, are you connected?
Sorry, I forgot to push the button speak. Sorry. It's about Macedonia government or new government optimism of opening for chapters in membership negotiations this year. And I would like to know whether the Commission is ready or will be ready with its annual progress report in September or October or whenever it's possible this year.
Thank you very much for the question, Ekrem. This question will be taken today by Susanna, who is replacing Anna during the holiday period. So Susanna is joining me to provide you an answer.
Okay. Thank you very much for your question, and I fear I will not be able to answer to all the parts of it, but I'm happy then to come back to you bilaterally. But concerning the new government in Macedonia, North Macedonia, we are looking forward to working with it, and to follow with a new government on the strategic objective for the integration in European integration, and to respond to that. We will also continue to engage with the new government in the question on fighting the coronavirus pandemic. We also expect that the new authorities will respect the engagement vis-à-vis the European Union, and to further support the reforms which are expected from the country, and especially also in the question of in the reliance to the European law. So I would like to leave it at this point here, and concerning the progress report, I will have to come back to you bilaterally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susanna. I wonder if there are any specific questions for Susanna on enlargement or on the matters that she covers. So please keep your hand raised at this stage only if you have an additional question for Susanna. That doesn't seem to be the case, so thank you very much, Susanna. And now please indicate if you have other questions for us today, which we can take. So, Athanasios.
Second round. Could you please give us an update on the situation with the golden passports in Cyprus? I know there is an ongoing procedure in that, but the subject resurfaced in the media. So I was wondering, what are you doing on the issue and what are they replying? Where are we with this thing? Thanks.
Thank you very much for the question, Athanasios. This will be one for Christian to answer, and he is on his way to deliver you an answer.
Yeah, second round also for me. Well, on the passports issue, I mean, you're aware that we have issued a report last year, which made very clear our position, and that there is also ongoing work with the member states who are running these schemes. We've also seen the recent media reports. I suppose this is the background of your question on Cyprus. So our general position, I think, is well known. While it is for each member state to lay down the conditions for the acquisition and loss of its nationality, when doing so, they must have due regard to union law. The Commission has frequently raised its concerns about investor citizen schemes and certain inherent risks, in particular as regards security, money laundering, tax evasion, and corruption, as mentioned in the report in January 2019. We have also raised, as I just alluded to, our concerns directly, for instance, with the Cypriot authorities. Due to the nature of EU citizenship, such schemes have implications for the Union as a whole. So the Commission will continue to monitor wider issues of compliance with EU law raised by these schemes.
Thank you for this answer, Christian. I will now invite colleagues to ask additional questions to Christian on this matter if they have any additional questions. So please only keep your hand raised if you have questions for Christian on this issue. So, Catherine, I understand that your question is for Christian and it is on this issue. If that's the case, please go ahead.
Yes, Dana, I've got two questions, but one of them is for Christian. The Deputy Disciplinary Commissioner in Poland wants to prosecute 1,278 judges in Poland for signing a letter to the OSCE about the monitoring of the presidential elections on the 10th of May. And I'm wondering, given that the European Court of Justice gave an interim judgment to the Commission on the 8th of April on these disciplinary procedures, does the Commission have anything to say about these disciplinary proposals?
Well, as you rightly say, there's an ongoing procedure there. We have received the reply from the Polish authorities regarding the interim measures, and we are currently analyzing it in view of the possible next steps. I wouldn't have a specific comment on individual cases, even if, as you mentioned, it concerns many individuals in such a case. But in general, where we're standing now with regards to procedure and interim measures on the disciplinary chamber is that we're analyzing the last reply that we have received from Poland in view of next steps.
Thank you very much, Christian. Catherine, I don't see any other hands raised, so please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, no, it's a follow-up for Christian. You have the ability to impose fines. Will the Commission be doing this?
As you might remember, we have made very clear that we're not in the position to conclude that Poland was complying with the ruling with the first reply. This is why we had asked for further clarifications. We have received this answer. And now, on the basis of this, it is for the Commission to look into this, to analyze it, and to look into possible next steps. This is where we stand.
Thank you, Christian. Unless there are additional questions for Christian on this matter, which I will know if you indicate that to me by raising your hand. It doesn't seem to be the case, so thank you, Christian. And Catherine, go ahead with your second question.
Thank you, Dana. My question is about accountability. Commissioner Hogan resigned, recognizing that he had caused concern, unease, upset, and he gave interviews to the relevant media, Irish media, about the situation. Today, we have a statement from the Commission President, and no questions were allowed. Shouldn't the rules of accountability mean that the President should have come to the press room and taken questions? Shouldn't she too be held accountable and be willing to take questions from the press?
Thank you for the question, Catherine. President von der Leyen is always ready and interested and available to engage with the media through various channels. Since yesterday, when Commissioner Hogan tendered his resignation, she issued 2 statements which are widely available. We have been answering in the press room questions about these measures, stating her position, among others, for several days now. So I believe that the President has amply put out in the public domain her position about this matter, as again, not least this morning. There will be surely opportunities to engage with Commissioner von der Leyen in ask questions during future events, which will involve you, and we will give you notice about those. But for the moment, at this stage, I have nothing to announce you about such an event. Catherine, you have a follow-up.
I'm sorry, that's just not acceptable, Dana. I mean, statements are not the same thing as making a statement in front of the press and taking questions. You taking questions is not the same thing. I think that's pretty clear.
Thank you for your statement and for your view, Catherine. At the stage where we are, the President of the Commission put forward her position on the matter that we are discussing with 2 separate communications. There will be different stages in the process that we have ahead, where the President will clearly put out her positions and will engage with the journalists in various ways. But for the moment, I have nothing else to announce in relation to the date or scheduling of any such event. Thank you very much. I wonder if there are additional questions for us today on any other matter. I do not see any hand raised, so I thank you for today's exchange. I wish you bon appétit and see you tomorrow. Bye.